Playoff week rolls on here at Ship Chasing. We got a fun hodgepodge show tonight. We're going to catch up on some of the latest news, maybe impacting our play over the weekend. We got some updated ownership projections from Pat, who's been in the lab on that. And then we got a couple of special guests. We got Drico, who plays a ton on FFPC, has a great mind for the contest over there. We'll get some of his thoughts. You guys know him from Stat Chasing. And then Chris Gee, a former Gauntlet winner. He has been deep in the lab in the Underdog streets, and so we'll also dip our toes in some of the playoff best ball over there tonight. I'm Pete with Gretch, Pat, and our guests. It's Ship Chasing. Let's do it.
Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is what I'm Pat.
Anita hand job.
Fix your sight.
Jamar. Alpha play chase.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally piss boys here, right?
All right, here we go. Right before the show, we were just saying last time G was on, he was hosting Daigle, and you guys were in different rooms of your house for our Thanksgiving show, and I think you both were slamming whiskey, if I recall correctly.
Whiskey, the whole night. I think at the end of the night, we switched to rum, and I drunk called Pat a little bit. Talk about going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you. Yeah, I got a call from Chris. I actually think this is a different call, but last time Chris called and said, "Hey man, what's going on?" Like, putting a baby to bed, bro.
Yeah, exactly. We got Drico popping in. What is up, Drico?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry I'm late.
No, it's all
Real
all
unprofessional.
good.
Yeah.
What's not
the first time I came on Ship Chasing, I was like fucking like 10 minutes early in the pre-chat.
That's
I'm
like professional of you. Yeah, but what are you doing?
We have a rule here at Ship Chasing where we say, for our shows, if you're not here in the StreamYard hopper 10 minutes early, you're late. That's kind of how we operate. You are looking very dapper tonight. You look like you're a physics professor or something. Like your pullover sweater and your glasses. It looks very nice.
Thank you. I was in Ann Arbor for tenant interviews, helping our buyer interview our tenants. So I have to look professional. We don't look like we're a legitimate company that we're selling. We sell good centers.
Well, and now you're finally bringing some legitimacy to our playoff best ball advice. We appreciate you, Gretch. How we doing tonight?
Good. Good. I recorded a pod with Sean earlier today about the FFPC contest. Everybody wants to check that out. Still in Mammoth. And yeah, talked to him for like a few hours about it. I'm kind of seagull pilled right now, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Does he have it? Will he have any teams with Bo Nix on it?
His first team that he showed me had Marvin Mims and Devonta Smith and Jordan Addison, and I was like, I think that's enough pivots.
Okay,
that's the zoomer opto right there.
No, there's the zoomer opto, and then man, what do we need for
seagull opto?
Yeah, the wizard opto or something. Yeah. Man, that is hilarious. Pat, how have you been? I know you've been tweaking and fine tuning the ownership projections throughout the day.
Yeah, I have. I did, like I said yesterday, I was a little bit annoyed with kind of my feel for the defense and kickers over the last couple of years. So I was looking at the ETR projections for defense and kicker and trying to figure out kind of where each team, like how strong their kicker was relative to their defense. And then the defenses relative to one another and the kickers relative to the field. Yeah. And it got me pivoting a little bit on where I think the chalk might form. Because I'm assuming people are going to kind of want to just play whatever they think the best plays are there. So did a little deeper dive on what those plays probably really are. Got me more on the Chargers D, got me more on the Texans D. I think you talked about, Pete, that being the soft fade bowl, but I think it might be the defense bowl. And the other thing that hadn't really occurred to me is that the Texans were the defense last year that, won people money by actually being optimal in multiple games. And so I think, there's a little bit, the field will probably have that more top of mind than I did. So little pivots there. And then the kickers I moved around as well. I think Zane Gonzalez might end up being kind of chalky. Everyone thinks he's not chalky and a great play.
So you're telling me the field has caught up that he's the kicker for the team?
Yeah, the field knows he's the kicker now.
Aware. Wait, but you
another
think
thing the field was ahead of me on? Yeah.
you think the field's like really? I mean, you're listening to some of the other content and stuff, but really aware that the Texans D was optimal in 2 games last year, because we're really in the weeds with this stuff, and I barely remember that.
Well, so today I listened to like a ton of content. Listened to the Balky's pod with Cullen. I was just listening to Theo, listening to Susan Hubbard. There's like, I've been Jacob Sanderson had an article out, Matt Sparkle had an article out. So I've just been like trying to get like, give me your thoughts and try to understand like where the sentiment is. But like Houston wasn't just a good play. They were like on the winning team. So I don't know. I mean, it's not going to drive a ton of it, but like looking at their kicker versus their defense. And then also I reached out to Balky to confirm the scoring rules for defense.
Yeah.
It is the new scoring. The site hadn't been updated yet. It's updated now. So you want more of a low-scoring game environment than you used to on FFPC, and I think that makes the Chargers-Texans game even more appealing, where like people are going to be afraid to play the Broncos defense or the Packers defense against good offense.
I mean, it's so enticing to play the Chargers defense against CJ Stroud when he's been so bad for the last, like, I don't know.
Right.
Oh, he's a walking sack. I mean,
but then you have to play a Texan, which I don't think is going to be super
then you're
popular.
playing Stroud to win the game.
Yeah, Nico will get. The other thing is that I think Nico versus Mixon is not going to be close. Everyone's going to be on.
What
Nico.
was the scoring change?
It's additional level. So before, like, once you let it more than 10 points, it was just like nothing more happened
In points
But
again.
now there's like an additional scale, and it goes up to -2. Once you allow 30 plus or more, now it's -2. So it just matters more to not allow
like
points.
a 2-point shift across the board somewhat.
No, because there's additional points that you gain. So now you get points for
now
like
it's
the line
uncapped.
between. Yeah,
Oh,
Wait, what?
I'll pull it up.
that's a pretty big change.
I
Yeah,
didn't
it's a
understand that.
meaningful change. Yeah. So now it's.
Yeah, my little group doing the $200 FFPC one is arguing right now about Nico, or if we're going to actually take Terry or a Washington piece. And I'm like, guys, the game total's 50. Let's get both of them. And, we're just having a great little time just discussing it out, just chatting away at this. It's a fun contest.
Before you got 8 points for 1 and 6 points allowed, 5 points between 7 and 10, and then nothing. Now remains, but now you get 3 from 14 to 19, 1 from 20 to 23, 0 for 24 to 29, and -2 for 30 plus.
yeah. So
it can be a
just
shift of like 2 to 3 points on a couple of the outcomes. It doesn't seem that meaningful to me. I think that's being overplayed. Like I've heard that brought up like 5 times this weekend, and it's only like a few of the outcomes where it shifts at like 2 points. You still want pass attempts against. You still want to rack up the 6 sack games with 3 turnovers. Those are the ones where you get big points.
I agree with you, but it does sound like, I mean, we got a comment on the show about it. It does seem like, you know that thing where you feel like you find an edge and it's like something new that maybe people won't account for, and then you want to weight it even more than it is. It does sound like something people want to factor in.
Yeah, that's what
There's 2 conversations, I think. One is how are people going to play it, and the other is how should we play it. And I'm fine kind of randomizing D a little bit, but I think people are factoring this in.
They're overplaying it. Got it.
Yep. So we're gonna bounce around a little bit tonight. Let's start just macro. We've had a few different news things since we last were on the air. When we were here on Tuesday, Hurts hadn't cleared concussion protocol. He's back full practice, so full steam ahead with all the Eagles stuff. I believe Zay Flowers was officially ruled out today. There was a surprise one with the Chargers. Joshua Palmer was ruled out. Not necessarily a huge deal for FFPC contest, but QJ now in, and J.K. Dobbins was questionable, which I think was a little bit of a surprise to people. Are there any other news notes that you guys have been tracking today?
Yeah, A.J. Brown was questionable, but they said he's going to go anyways. But he didn't practice today. That's just one thing I noted. Also saw one of the cornerbacks for Houston, I think, might be injured. And I'll have to double check that, though.
Yeah. So pretty clean on the injury front there. Pat, were there any other big ownership tweaks you made? It sounded like a lot of it was going on with the defense. Are you bringing up Hurts now that he's officially?
Yeah, I brought up Hurts today. I had him too low. It's always tough when you don't know if the guy's like going to miss the game or not. So sort of a holdover or like it was in a holding pattern with Hurts. But now I have him up at 12, which is still not super high, and I think makes him a really strong play. But it's like hard for me to see. I guess I could be wrong, and people don't play Lamar as much as I have it, but I haven't also heard a ton of enthusiasm for Hurts because everyone wants to play Barkley. I mean, Barkley is such a smash. So, but yeah, I had him like at 9, and I brought him up to 12, and I might move him up a little more than that. But I think he settles around that range.
Yeah,
he is a great what do you win when you win pick, where like he accounts for such a high percentage of their touchdowns.
Yeah,
Who's that? Hurts?
Hurts, yeah.
Yeah. And I was talking about this in our chat earlier today with Pat and Leone a little, but for me,
up a little more.
Sure, a lot of people have come around to it. Like chat saying 12% Hurts is high, though, and that's kind of where I was at. I was like, no one's going to want to play Hurts. But I kind of came around to it from the perspective of we're saying everything's going to be Lamar and Allen because one of them has to play 3 games. And if it's Allen, he can really gap his teammates. But if it's Lamar, there's a lot of scenarios where Henry or Mark Andrews are meaningful. And Hurts can score so much in the tush push. Main point I'm getting at is we're saying one of those 2 mobile, dual threat, high scoring QBs on the AFC side has to play 3 games in most scenarios. It's very unlikely that one of them would get upset in the first round and the other would get upset in the second round, which is the sort of parlay that needs to happen for one of them to not play 3 games. There could be a first round upset. People may underplay that a little. And we may not get that Baltimore-Buffalo second round matchup that we're all really expecting. But even if that happens, obviously then Baltimore or Buffalo, the one that won, is going to be heavily favored in the second round against whoever they match up with. But one of them is going to likely play 3 games. But Hurts on the NFC side, I mean, the Packers are not the same team that they were last year entering the tournament. They're an exciting 7 seed. People are in on to some degree. They're also banged up a little bit. Eagles are the 2 seed at home. If they win that, they move forward and get another home game against, by seeds, Tampa. If Washington beats Tampa, then they would play the winner of the Rams Vikings. But it's another very winnable game at home. There's a lot of scenarios where the Eagles just sort of sleepwalk their way to the NFC Championship. Not sleepwalk, but they can beat 2 teams at home. They're a good enough team to do that. And so, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is we're talking a lot about, if one of these dual threat, high scoring AFC QBs plays 3 games, they're going to be optimal. But Hurts is like by seed lined up to play 3 games and gets all these tush pushes and could be a guy who rushes for like 5 touchdowns in 3 games because they're going to go with their best play at the goal line. They're going to mess around and try and get Barkley touchdowns. They're going to do the thing they always do. And he could also then beat the Lions and go play 4 games and be in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that could be a Chiefs Eagles. Like, to me, Hurts is not a very different play from Allen and Lamar, other than certainly the Saquon element makes it a little meaningful. There's an opportunity cost equation, but Hurts could be the QB. There's a lot of ways that I wasn't thinking about that Hurts could be the QB.
And even at 12%, like, you're looking at the combination of Saquon and Lamar being like 1.4x the combination of Hurts and Henry. So that's like you're getting like really nice leverage there to where, and then you're kind of like, you're hoping that that's your Super Bowl, right? Like it's a 2v2 where you're in the Super Bowl with Hurts and Henry and everyone else is Lamar and Barkley, but it could be that you're in the Super Bowl with Hurts and Kelsey. Like there's not, like obviously if the problem with Hurts, I think, is that Allen is scary as hell. Like I don't want Hurts and Cook versus Allen and Barkley. That doesn't feel fun to me.
No. You kind of need the Bills to get beat by the Ravens.
But they could also lose to your ideal is they lose to the Ravens lose to the Chiefs. And now you're like, oh, man.
And Barkley has to get shut down a little. Like, Hurts has to get those rush TDs, which directly impacts Barkley, and he has to get shut down a little. It's not as easy as I'm making it out to be, but it is pretty logical.
I think the Ravens can make the Super Bowl, though. Cullen's saying he doesn't think it can be. I think it can be Ravens. I think Bills, you're a big dog, but I think it could be Ravens just because Henry.
I just disagree with that. You can't have the Bills or Ravens make the Super Bowl is way too confident. I know Colin's been in here every night this week dropping a little bit that he won last year. He'd like us to let everyone know that he won last year. He's the defending champ right now. We got to give Colin his props. But that is way too precise in my opinion. There's a lot of ways this contest can go.
Yeah, I generally agree with it on the Allen side. I just think Henry, like, why do I need to have Henry instead of Barkley? Henry, in a Ravens run to the Super Bowl, he's going to be getting fed. He's going to be going off. He had more rush yards over expected than Barkley this year. Dude had an incredible year. So
yeah,
why can't I have Henry?
It could be Hurts Henry over Lamar
easily
Barkley. Easily.
That's not like even. I'm not stretching the imagination.
Just run the touchdowns. Yeah.
Right.
Henry
That's like a
and Hurts
45-55 thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, they're
guys,
interesting. Go for it.
Can I pick your guys' brain? Like, I got you here. We're talking about NFC Eagles, but let's talk about the real NFC team that's going to make the Super Bowl, the Detroit Lions. Is Jameson Williams a good play in this contest, or do you got to stick with ARSB or Gibbs? I got to know.
I think at tight end premium, you're also Laporta gets you off massive Kelsey chalk.
So is JMO too Galbrain?
I think he's a little Galbrain.
I think he's a little Galbrain too.
Yeah,
you can get Amon-Ra. You're probably going to get Amon-Ra at like 30% max. I don't know where you have him right now, Pat.
I have him higher because I've heard a lot about Montgomery. Montgomery's back. I don't know if you guys heard he's back. Dan Campbell loves to run the ball. He's going to get fed. So way more than I thought. I think Hassan and Blair were arguing Amon-Ra was the chalk. I still think Gibbs comes in higher, but I think it's a lot closer. And
Gibbs is the safe pick.
He's safer,
where even when Monty was playing, he was still scoring good points. Whereas you've definitely had down games for Amon-Ra.
I think the opposite is
I have
true.
39 Amon-Ra, Gibbs 50. So I still have Gibbs ahead, but before I had I think Amon-Ra 30, Gibbs like 70 or something, and I don't think it'd be that big.
Well, Drico, were you saying that I thought Amon-Ra actually scored more when Montgomery was in the lineup?
I didn't mean it like that. I meant it more as in like he had a lot more down weeks this season than Gibbs did. Whereas Gibbs had that like high floor. Gotcha. Just through the points distribution.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way people will look at it.
I think with those guys, we were talking about it with Addison and stuff too. I think if you play the Lions as a one and done loss, then like the JMO plays, you can kind of see it. But if they get 2 games, it's like, can JMO be optimal for the Lions over 2 games? I guess anything's possible, but really unlikely he carries that 2 games.
Probably not.
Yeah, you probably want Jefferson on those. Like you're betting on the Vikings go beat them kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You probably want a Commander too, just in case they win and then go beat the Lions, which doesn't seem likely.
That doesn't seem likely. Yeah.
It does seem likely, but I think I want all the teams live to. I'm like, the Lions are losing, and so I want all the teams that could potentially play the Lions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man, it was wild. I was looking at some of talking about the Jalen Hurts kind of sentiment, and granted, there's not a ton of volume quite yet in the BR streets, but Lamar and Josh Allen are top 10 picks, and Jalen Hurts' ADP is 26. There is a lag in people, I think, coming around on him where I think people kind of made up their mind. I want to play Allen. I want to play Lamar. And obviously Hurts is going to get played, but I don't sense crazy steam on him right now.
I agree. I feel like I had him too low before. I feel like optimal would be higher. 12% still feels like he's a really strong play to me.
No, I do too.
Yeah. I like your 12%. As in, he will come in under, or he very likely will come in under what he should be versus the other guys. Yeah. Just because he hasn't played as well, so we haven't seen that ceiling in a little
right. Right.
It's interesting too when you think through like the identity of these teams. And Gretch, I feel like you'd be good at talking about this of like, the Lions are just going to go pedal to the metal. They're going to throw the ball no matter what. The Ravens will like modulate their game plan. Like it could just be an absolute big dog game against the Steelers in a positive game script. And then they could get in like an up-tempo game versus the Bills. And then all of a sudden they're airing it out. It is interesting. Like I feel like the Eagles' identity, despite Barkley, is still just rolling through Hurts. Like Gretch said, he's going to get the tush pushes. Like there is almost like consistency to how the Eagles games will play out, unless Barkley's breaking off a 75-yard run. Like then that can maybe tilt it. But otherwise, I feel like what you're getting with the Eagles.
Yeah, and Green Bay has a decent defensive line too, right? So they could probably stop him at the 1 or 2 yard line, and there you go, Jalen Hurts all day for sure.
The Eagles are definitely like that. I think they're pretty straightforward. Sorry, I was a little distracted. I got to tell Cole real quick. I was not trying to bust your balls at all, buddy.
He's totally kidding. Oh man.
All right, Gee, talk a little. We're going to bounce around a bit tonight. Gee, I know you've been doing a lot of drafts. Anything you've been noticing like in the underdog market that's interesting to you as far as like where there's steam, what people are enjoying doing in these, final hours of drafting?
Yeah, the biggest thing I can take away from this is at the beginning when I started this, I was like, oh man, this is way too quick. But now I'm praying for those days. I miss taking like Lamar, Justin Jefferson, and all these guys right at the beginning because the ADPs were all messed up. Now I've been leaning more towards taking these tertiary pieces at the end. So like, for example, with the injury to Zay on your Baltimore teams, you have to take, I feel like, Mark Andrews at the 302, basically.
Yeah.
You have to. If not, you're going to get boxed out by the Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson guy who's going to take the Andrews and possibly Bateman at the same time. And then you're out. Then it's just Lamar, Justice Hill, and Isaiah Likely. I mean, but who knows?
Oh, come on, Chris. Come on. You're not drafting Nelson Aguilar and Tylan Wallace? And
I am.
Mitchell?
I am.
Are you even in the streets? All right.
I am, bro. I am. I like Tylan Wallace a lot. Aguilar is probably going to have a better role.
Yeah.
But it's just, you got to click him. Cam Akers is a great pick for Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you can kind of skip over on Aaron Jones and just take Jordan Addison,
My favorite part of the playoff baseball stuff is that like clicks that initially feel gross just become like, oh yeah, Tylan Wallace. Like, come on down.
Well, that's like best ball stuff that happens, right? We've talked about it, like the psychology of once you've made a pick a few times and you've now played it out in your head of like the high end outcomes of that player, and they retroactively become stronger picks because you've selected them. And that's the only reason that it's become better.
100%.
And it's crazy too, man. I cannot get a Lamar, Derrick Henry team to save my life. And I was going through all my gauntlets and I'm like, oh, I got one. And guess what I have next to it? Christian Watson. I'm like, this team's. I'm like, I just threw it. I'm like, I guess I'm rooting for the Bills. I guess I'm rooting for the Bills.
Yeah, it's funny though. I mean, those combos feel good. It's like we see this shit play out over and over. It's never the juiciest GM combos that are what you need to win. It's just what makes you feel good while you're drafting.
Yeah, I was in the $20 DK draft yesterday. And the guy, the team's so good, I remember his username is Dorito. He had Barkley, Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae. He got the whole Eagles, and then he got like good Chiefs on it too. It's very tilting. The combinations.
Yeah, he's a lock favorite. He's a lock favorite if the Eagles go all the way for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Drico, I don't know if you got to check out the Boomer Opto show, but do you have any kind of takes on what you think the market's going to be doing in the FFPC stuff? Places you like to get different? Where you at with this contest?
So the one thing that I've been thinking about for the FFPC is, and maybe I'm getting hyper specific here, but one of the things that ended up being necessary or very important last year was you had a big upset in Green Bay against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you got that upset right, in having in getting a Green Bay guy, and the Green Bay guys were like very contrarian, and then also got off the chalk with Ferguson. Like that like combination leaps you forward like just in a massive way. And like I feel like that's like something important to keep in mind. I haven't like fully fleshed that thought out, but just for example, if you're taking Pickens, like there's like a variety of ways that could work. It's like either it's like some shock upset, and like that could happen. Like it's a very top heavy tournament, so like if you're doing Pickens, then maybe you shouldn't have Pickens as a Lamar team. Maybe that your Pickens team should be a pivot on the Ravens.
Like
just
an
so
Andrews.
so that if you get that Pickens pick right,
I mean,
then you're amplifying how right that pick is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little on Tuesday. Pick the idea of Pickens, Allen, Andrews as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a really fun one. I have it on my list of favorite leverage plays. I think it's a really fun combo.
So I'm just looking.
I guess just the idea of like if you're picking somebody on like a heavy underdog, then you should also pair it with like a pivot on that favorite team or slight fade.
Yeah. Like if you get off Barkley to AJ Brown or Devonta Smith, we talked about how you might want to play Josh Jacobs. You might want to leave yourself open to the Packers winning outright. Because Barkley in 2 games or 3 games feels really right. I mean, I think Hurts does really make sense in 3 games or 4 games for the Eagles in some scenarios. But yeah, if you want to play like an AJ Brown Jacobs is a similar way to do what you were just describing.
Or Smith. Smith would be the Ferguson, I think, really. Yeah.
Well, I also like what Drico's hinting at too, of if you're picking a skill position player in a lot of the spots where there's going to be chalk, soft fades or hard fades, and how you can still be right even if you're wrong. Like if you play, let's say the Cortland Sutton thing with Josh Allen, most people get a faded or whatever. Even if the Bills win, if Sutton has that spike game and everyone hard faded the Broncos, and the optimal Bronco to have ends up being Sutton, like that is such a huge
It's massive
lever to pull, and you didn't have to nail the upset. You just made a pivot off of the hard fade, which actually doesn't even have to be that courageous.
No.
I think that's exactly right, because people are not going to pivot off of the Vikings and the Rams. They're going to play both sides of that game at a really high clip, I think. They're going to play Bucks at a really high clip. Washington's not going to get as faded as much as you would think, purely from their chances of winning. And so I think like you could be looking at like Sutton versus Jefferson in a loss, and obviously Jefferson's a favorite there, but it's not
what people think. People think it's 90-10, and it's not in a 1-game situation. It's just not in a loss.
Right.
With that stipulation, the likelihood is the Vikings offense wasn't very good. Maybe Sam Darnold played a horrible game. Maybe he threw for 138 yards, right? Like how good of a game could Justin Jefferson really have had? Like that's one of the things that exists in these scenarios, you know? Did you just say Washington's not going to be faded as much as I thought we were talking about Washington being faded a decent amount?
I think they're going to play 2 games, man. I just think they're so good. Like I'm super excited to play Washington. Like
if you're
picking
up a win.
Yeah, especially an underdog, man. Like Terry McLaurin's ADP is so suppressed compared to like Mike Evans, Puka, Bucky. Like you can get him super easy, and Zach Ertz is like an afterthought. So you can easily stack 3 guys.
I like
with
that
the other 2 on the AFC. So
I play them to make a little run.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Bucks are like reliable. You know, like they've sucked at times. So you sort of don't know.
And they're only 3 points favorites. That's the crazy.
Yeah, they're only 3-point favorites. I think the Texans will be faded more than the Commanders. I think last I checked, the money line was slightly better for the Texans. So
I thought in our chat earlier today, you were saying when you were listening through a bunch of stuff that they were a team that was coming up as one that people, because basically you have McLaurin or Ertz. Like where else are you going? Unless you want to make a big bet on Jaden Daniels in the FFPC one is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I think Commanders will be a big soft bid candidate. And I got thinking that Zane Gonzalez will end up being pretty chalky. Not like out of control, but like it's the highest total game. So like give me Bucky and give me the Washington kicker. That tells a story, you know. Frankly Evans or the Washington kicker, doesn't really matter. But I also think people play both sides of it, because the comfiest games to play both sides of are the Vikings and the Rams, the Bucks and the Commanders, because it has such a high total. The Chargers and the Texans, I think, has the lowest total on the slate. It does. It has the lowest total. It's like 44.5 versus 50.5. So I think it's a little comfier to probably play a Charger and fade the Texans, or you could obviously go the other way, play like Nico and get like Chargers D, which is I think they'll be pretty popular, but a solid play. So yeah, I think the Commanders are going to have to be faded at a decent clip, but I don't think they're going to be like heavily faded. You go from like the Commanders who are what, 3-point dogs, to the Packers who are like 4.5, 5-point dogs, and I have that as a total fade jumping from 40% to 67%. So it's like a pretty big jump.
What's your sense on the Packers, man? Because like I don't know what to do with them, because I'm advocating in my group chat with Wu-Tang, Nomar, and Jameson, like we should just fade Green Bay and just say like Philly's going to steamroll them. That way you can open up Washington.
That seems to be the sentiment. The sentiment seems to be Philly's going to win this game. It probably isn't going to be close. You can't run on the Eagles, so Jacobs isn't actually even that good of a play. I don't feel like dealing with the uncertainty around the Packers wide receivers, even with Watson out. The Eagles are probably going to play a lot of man. None of these guys are really man beaters. So it's just kind of like a bad situation for the Packers, especially since Jordan Love is nursing an elbow injury. So let me just fade the Packers, and I can go play the highest total game of the week in the Commanders. I can go play Nico Collins, who, you know, in a loss could put up a bunch of points. I could go play Sutton. Like, I can do more fun stuff than this like kind of gross Packers, you know, offense that's just going to get shut down. So I lowered Jacobs quite a bit, because it doesn't seem like people are really that interested in playing it.
The Commanders 40% fade, Green Bay 67% fade seem like really, really juicy places for like very small underdogs. Like, for especially given how like top heavy the tournament, those seem like prime like targets.
To your point about playing the bracket a certain way and sort of stacking multiple games together, one thing I want to throw in there is if you play Tampa or particularly Washington, some way that you're playing them to make a run. Washington, if you're playing Daniels or something, I think you also are in on the Packers at that point, because like if Washington wins, I mean they would probably be going to Detroit unless Green Bay wins. Then they get to go to the winner of Minnesota and the Rams. Very different second round game, right? If Tampa wins, they get to host the second round if the Eagles lose, and they also would play then the Minnesota Rams winner. Both of their paths get a lot better if the Packers also win. So if you get, you know, meaningfully on,
I think I'm more with you on the Bucks point of that, because the Commanders going to the Vikings would be kind of difficult. Rams was nice. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But the Bucks benefit a lot because they get a home game.
They get a home game. Completely changes their path. They could be playing in the NFC Championship with help from the Packers. If the Packers win that first round game, Bucks are going to be favored probably.
It's a really good
NFC Championship.
Yeah.
The very sharp Neil Farley says Alameda Zacchaeus is a viable pick too. We were joking about this earlier in the week. That's one of the other Siegel ones he came up with. He brought up to me, and I believe it's going to be in his write up when it gets on Rotoviz.
That's right. We
in a big mitten draft earlier when I was doing one with the Badge Bros, and we thought that was thin in that contest, much less FFPC.
So the reason that Siegel gave me was that the Rotoviz matchup rater doesn't like McLaurin's matchup very much. It really likes Zacchaeus's, and so he thinks that, and it also likes Erta's. So he thinks that if you're going to play the Commanders to lose, that it's viable to go with one of the other receiving options, basically.
That McLaurin might get shut down. Is a play where you could just, this could be the type of game where there's just like a ton of volume and it's just racking up catches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if McLaurin, like his point was based on the matchup, McLaurin could just get shut down and be one and done. And it did get me like, well, yeah, I hadn't really thought about the specific matchups. You know, that's the thing about wildcard weekend. 6 teams are going to play one game this weekend, and that's their whole tournament. And you got to think about like the matchup matters, right? Like that kind of stuff can happen.
Right.
When you start talking about everybody thinks Josh Jacobs can't get there in a loss 1%. Because of the Eagles' run D, I'm like a little bit concerned about trying to get into Josh Jacobs, even if he seems like a very good player.
Bucs secondary isn't that great though. That I don't know. Well, at least as far as the way people play it, I think Terry will seem fine to people.
Well,
their safety got injured too. Sorry, go ahead.
Talking this through kind of maybe led me to a good heuristic of where to get unique, because I was laughing to myself as we talked about this, where, you know, we used to always say you could play anyone ... in a GPP. It's like in the FFPC challenge, you can play anyone ... in a loss.
In a loss.
But as you're building out your bracket or your team, you should be more willing to get contrarian in your loss scenario picks. Back to that thing we were talking about with Drico, where you can be right in 2 ways. Obviously, if you're playing the Commanders of the Super Bowl, you don't fucking want Zacchaeus like on your team. An awful pick. But if you're like, oh my God, everybody's playing Terry, and they might be playing this bracket as if the Commanders aren't going for a run, or they're trying to have their cake and eat it too with a buck on the other side or whatever. That's where you start to think about the pivots, like the Sutton to Mims, or, you know, whatever they may be. I do like that idea of getting unique in your one-off loss plays.
In your losses, yeah. You really got to pick the wins and losses and be deliberate about that. We talk about this every year. The optionality is the alluring thing, and people want to play Jefferson and Nakua and play both sides of that game for the optionality, and it may be right in the end. That's one that, I mean, some of our lineups are going to have Jefferson and Nakua, and let's just be real. Like, they're 2 good, really good plays. Like, you do have to play it a little bit, but if you want to win this contest and think about it from the end of the contest back, you're thinking about, of those teams that all lost, getting the highest scores in the losses, and so you're thinking about, like, if I just get more deliberate with picking the bracket, which is what we always say, and telling a story, I'm going to be able to potentially build a team that's pretty unique. But
like McLaurin Tampa Bay fade seems fine to me. Like, that seems like it's like, obviously you don't want it fade Tampa Bay, but like, you can be right on McLaurin because they play 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then you combine that with the Tampa Bay fade, and like, even though McLaurin is like highly played, or kind of highly played, that combination will probably be really, really rare. And if that outcome happens,
that's super viable. In practice, I'm a little scared about any Tampa Bay fade, because they're a team that when they go down, goes down swinging with a lot of fantasy points.
Well, it is a little seen that Baker stat, right? You guys seen that Baker stat, right? Most touchdowns, 69 or whatever in the past like year or whatever.
One of the injury notes didn't bring up, but then dovetails with this, is Cade Otton back to a full practice. He's a really good contrarian Bucs loss piece, because we've seen him. Obviously, his big time games were when Evans was also out. That was when he was really consolidating. But it would shock no one if he popped up for an 8-target game and, you know, had a really nice FFPC scoring day in a loss.
For sure.
Yeah, I do think I've yet to hear anyone say, I can't wait to play Mike Evans. He's such a smash. I've heard that other people will be playing him. I haven't heard, oh man, you got to jam Mike Evans. I've heard a lot of, while others play Mike Evans, I'll be smashing Bucky Irving, the king of running backs. So I think I do.
Dude, this is what I was saying on the Boomer Opto show on Monday. I was like, dude, people are going to want to play the running back.
People want to play Bucky, and I think the Commander, it's a really high total game, but you can run all over the Commanders. So and then you're also getting the home favorite running back, and then potentially multiple games from them. So yeah, I think Evans,
Saturday when we played a ton of Evans to pivot off Bucky. All I wanted to do was play Bucky in this contest. God damn it.
I'm down to play Bucky. I'm just not gonna.
Bucky's
I'm
not
not
a bad play.
No, he's a good chalk to eat. That's what's so funny. He's good shot to eat. But so Leone, we were talking about this, and Leone was like, we have him as the RB1 this weekend. He's even projected for more points than Saquon Barkley, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very good play. And this is the thing, right? I mean, goes back to DFS stuff. We were kind of talking about this with Leone too. Like, you can literally play anyone you want in this contest, right? Like, if you were like, fucking Bucky Irving is my favorite goddamn player, you just have to get unique in a couple other spots, right? Like, no play is a bad play. It's just what you do with the rest of the lineup around them.
Guys,
that's been one of my big issues is too many pivots. Like, I get all excited about, oh, I'm going to leverage this, I'm going to leverage that.
Yeah.
But you do have to play some of those kind of plays as well.
Was I wrong to tell everyone in draft season not to draft Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry if Bucky Irving's projected for more points in the first round of the playoff contest? I think
you're
I don't know if that's how
we're going to wait until nobody's fade enough and then victory lap that take.
We're just going to do that. Bucky was the best play.
Yeah. The one, so note about the Rams in the chat being kind of a team to fade. If you look at like odds of advancing to round 2 versus like how much I'm projecting the team to get faded, the two teams that really stand out are the Rams and the Vikings. Both are, it's kind of a pick 'em type game. And
they have the two highest projected players, and it's a 1.5 point spread.
Right.
So it's literally a coin flip.
But people don't want to pick it. People don't want to have to pick the game, and you get Jefferson and Puka. You get like absolute stud wide receivers you don't got to worry about. So it makes sense why this would be the case. But the Rams are now traveling to Arizona for this home game. They do jump out as, I think, a pretty interesting team to fade, where I just don't think people – like, because of the two, I think Jefferson's actually a more comfy fade. Now, you're probably not fading the Vikings. You're probably playing Addison or Hawkinson, but you're hoping they lose.
And the Rams' offense has been kind of dog shit lately, too.
Yeah. They have a 23 implied team total. The Chargers are 22.5. The Packers are 20.25. So, like, you're not – yeah, I mean, it's a decent – like, 3 points is meaningful, but it's not crazy. Like, getting off the Bucks who are at 26.75, I'm with Ben. Like, that's hard.
Not only that, you got to consider the human element, right? Some of their houses are probably burned down from this fire. You know what I mean? Like, you have a bunch of stuff going on at home. The stress is hitting you. You got a playoff game that you got to play in a different area. The whole rhythm's all messed up for them. It would be a good spot if you could figure out how to fade them without Puka going off. I mean, it sucks to say that, but it's tough.
That's true. Randall in the chat said Vikings are going to let their fans down once again. I grew up a Viking fan. Pat, your brother's a Viking fan. You're probably very aware of this. The Vikings situation here, what they're going to do to their fans, based on history, is win this game and give them more hope, and then get absolutely slaughtered when you think that they actually have a shot. They do win the playoff game. Traditionally,
they've had some amazing wins in the playoffs, but then they lose.
Then they lose immediately after.
The Vikings' move is to lose in the NFC Championship in absolutely heartbreaking fashion.
They did lose to the Giants in the first round a couple years ago, but that wasn't a very good team. This is a good team that people will actually start to believe has a shot to win the title, and that's when they get beat by 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Or in a really heartbreaking game late. Either way.
This is a team that loses to Baker Mayfield in the NFC Championship.
That's right.
That's what happened to the Vikings.
That's what happens.
Let's see here. Would you guys want to hop in an underdog draft here? We can have the sidekick and Chris Gee as our co-pilots and see what we can cook up.
All day. I love it.
All right.
How many gauntlets are left?
That's a good
Not
question.
None in my account.
Yeah, let's do one. I still have plenty to go, so let's do that. And
it's at 95%, man. It's going to be done by Friday afternoon. Jeez.
Yeah, Pat, you want to tell people, I know most people watching by now are aware of the sidekick, but they want to let them know what they're looking at up here on screen.
Sure. So we got dynamic rankings here. You got to scroll over because I can't tell which position.
Yeah, we're at 102.
Oh, we're 102. Okay. Yeah. So the odds at the top here represent the odds that they go to the conference championship game. Once you select a team, it'll change those because you're now assuming that team is going to go to the conference championship game. But yeah, the real value here is it kind of helps you keep track of like what you're trying to accomplish in this draft, building out teams that are cohesive and make sense.
Awesome. Yeah, so we got the 1-2 here. This is typically a Lamar spot. Josh Allen always goes 1. Lamar rarely falls. Do you guys always do Lamar here?
I'm like 100% Lamar unless Allen's there.
Yeah, same here. I really enjoy the sidekick too because it actually helps you like in the later rounds. Like, hey, don't forget about Tylan Wallace. That's what I like.
Yeah,
Alan
how
Wallace
could you forget about Tylan Wallace?
He's programmed into the sidekick for sure.
All right, let's do Lamar.
Does Devontae Walker ever come up?
He's there. He's usually not the top guy, but he is in the sidekick.
He has shown up somewhere down there.
He has shown up. I ignore him most of the time. I have drafted
if you try to draft if you try to draft Devonta as the paperclippy, it looks like you're trying to draft Devonta's Walker. Did you mean Tylan Wallace?
Are you trying to draft Nelson Aguilar?
God.
Did you mean Patrick Ricard?
So
how do I know I haven't drafted enough teams? It's the fact that I haven't thought about clicking Devontae Walker yet.
So
well,
guys,
what it is it's when you get sniped on Tylan Wallace, and then you're like, what the fuck? So that's when you end up drafting Tez.
So the good thing here, Pete, is that you have the Buffalo Bills guy. If he's an intelligent drafter, he's not going to take a Baltimore Ravens piece from you. So you can have your pick of Jameson, Devontae, JJ, whoever you want.
Who do you guys like? I've done each of those in this spot before. Gretch, Drico, you got a like here?
I don't.
It's probably JJ for me because he gets the round 1 and he's a good player and they got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Jameson's obviously more fun. It's just hard to stack all those guys, Minnesota's a little easier. What do you think, Pat?
I tend to go Jameson just because I think the Lions,
the Super Bowl odds are better.
Get there. One thing about taking Lions that's nice is that it like sort of freeze because then you're like, oh, I need advance rate pieces now, but like you've locked in a team that's the most likely to go to the Super Bowl, so it kind of prevents you from getting like too focused on advance rate because you're building through the Lions, and then that gives you permission to go take Mike Evans and Bucky or go take a Puka or a Kyron or whatever. So I actually try to. It's like eating my vegetables to get that bye week team.
I like his idea. Let's go back.
Honestly, I like that idea, but like the problem is I should have looked at the board better because James Cook getting picked at the 7 hole should just tell us all we need to know, and we probably should have gone JMO because we're probably going to get Laporta back. But in the past couple of drafts I've been in, it's like as soon as this guy goes Amon-Ra or Jared Goff and Gibbs, he's taken every single thing back. So then you're just left with JMO, and then it's like you got to build out a 4-1 or 5-1, and that's why
you get Monty. Monty's the other one.
I haven't been able to get him lately. Like he just goes by the same guy that takes Gibbs or another guy. It's just insane how quick he goes now. He's not going in the 7 anymore. He's going like early 6, late 5th.
Yeah. I will say the Baltimore and Minnesota is like one of the cleanest pairings that is just so easy clean to get funneled to. It always feels good. You never really have to reach. So yeah, Sidekick likes Aaron Jones here. We did get sniped on Bateman by the Henry team, who's going.
We could take Bucky.
Build out a Bucky.
Pair together, pretty nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
They don't play each other in the second round in most scenarios, unless the.
Just really enjoy Ben.
Was that surprising to you?
I like that. Oh, you know.
You asked me last round if I had a thought. I was like, I've not done one of these drafts. I have no ideas. And you're like, we can take Bucky. I'm in.
Well, sometimes you're able to pull off the Mike Evans and Bucky pairing, which is obviously fun.
That's really fun.
With McMillan or Otten late, there's still ways to do it.
I'd probably take Aaron Jones here.
Yeah, probably. I think Jones or Addison. We can probably get Flowers later.
Yeah. I guess the only reason to go Addison over Jones is if you kind of like the little Cam Akers stuff late, but
yeah, we can do that too. That's totally fine.
Let's do Addison. Because we're gonna need to get try to get Justice Hill on this team.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is there's two famous words if you've drafted a Hurts team or a Lamar team. It's I need to get Kenny Gainwell or Justice Hill on this team.
Or Allen. I have half the time like Ty Johnson, like, oh no, better get Ray Davis.
I got a question. The Vikings, if all the top seeds win, the Vikings have to go play the Lions.
Correct.
So once you take the Vikings, are you more likely to take Commanders and Packers because you would like them to upset and then go play the Lions for you, and then you have the Vikings on a cleaner path, in which case, like, was Bucky not optimal to stack with Jefferson? Now you're locking in.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but you also, this is a realistic conference championship game. You need the Vikings to go beat the Lions in Detroit, which did not look like they were capable of doing the last time they tried it, but they could. And then, yeah.
A lot of people thought they were going to before that game.
Right. I know, football's funny. Like, Stafford. Darnold was like, oh, if they don't bring him back, they're crazy. And then a game later, they're like, I don't know if you can bring Darnold back.
So, Pete, what do you want to do here? Do you want to take both Baltimore guys, or are you interested in getting another skill position player like TJ Hawkinson to add to your Minnesota stack?
I don't think I think the Raven stuff is more important here. The question is, which two of Zay, Likely, and Justice Hill do we think?
I don't think it'll matter.
Feels really important because we have Jefferson and Addison for the first round for sure, right?
I think Zay is the most important because he's like we have a team that's pretty good to advance. We got like Jefferson and Bucky.
Right.
So let's get the guy who like helps us the most in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's true inversely, like Likely we'll see a bigger spike this week, but then that will fall back once Zay is back a little bit.
Yeah.
I honestly think Justice Hill will be there at 8. And if not, we can just take Keaton Mitchell, for
this is kind of where I'm at. I think Likely's probably the stronger pick just for ADP.
Okay. Yeah,
Worst
Shorty
case, you can take Keaton, yeah.
Is the other Ravens guy. I don't think he would go a third running back with Henry and Jones.
He should.
Do you guys have any qualms with pairing Likely with Andrews?
No, they're all wide receiver tight ends, so it doesn't matter to us really. Like they can score as many points as they want,
I don't either in that specific offense because I just feel like they play different roles. I mean, they do eat each other's routes a little bit, but I'm not like it's just, like in a season long. I would be worried about it, Drico, because I'd be like some of their upsides tied to injury, this and that. But like
right. Some of the upside is injury.
So Drico, the points reset every week, so they can actually ping pong weeks and get.
Well, I forget who first started making this analogy about calling, the end game of these gauntlet drafts is like Showdown 2, where stuff that feels weird or, negatively correlated in our like weekly or even over the course of the season brains. It's like you're just trying to get a unique piece in the playoffs. And you'd actually like to Pat's joke, like the ping pong effect where Andrews carries all those teams and then they don't have Likely and then Likely goes off.
It's not really a joke. Yeah.
So Len does only have one running back. I mean, I don't think he'd do it, but let's just do it because I don't see anything else.
Does he have Vikings? Would he take Hawk or not?
He doesn't. He has Detroit, Philly. I don't think he's doing. He's got his four teams. He's going to stay.
He's got to take a running back here. He's got to take a running back, Ty Johnson. So he's got to take one of them.
Yeah, he's very Buffalo focused. He should probably take
also Drico, to go back to like Baltimore. I saw like a lot last week that they were running a lot of 2 tight end, 2 wide receiver sets, even with Zay Flowers injured early in the game. So like Likely's going to be on the field probably just as much as Andrews is, especially more so now that Zay's injured.
Let me ask you a quick question before we do take Hawk, and I think Hawk's a good pick, but like thinking through, Cam Akers and Cade Otton would be other stuff. Like, are we going to go Hawk Cam Akers, or are we going to try to get another Bucks piece, or just play one off Bucky?
I think one off Bucky just to help us get through like 2 rounds, and then Justice Hill takes over.
Okay. Well, Hawk's a good pick at this price, so we'll take him. And then if for some reason we got
Jalen McMillan might come back when we took.
He's already gone, isn't he?
I was going to ask when we took Likely about McMillan, and then he went at the turn. Because it seemed like he might have a shot to come back based on where he was in the list. I was thinking we might roll.
McMillan has super big buzz. So does Dave Montgomery right now. But look, I want to point out Terry McLaurin. He went in the 8th round. That's insane.
Oh wow!
I know his matchup. Yeah, I mean, he's just such a great pick.
Yeah,
there's some weird stuff happening in that the team who had Evans got sniped on Baker and then still took McMillan, but then he went back to get Stafford. And then this drafter is just running out naked Baker as his only quarterback, depending on what he does here, which seems pretty bad.
So this advance is 2 of 5, not 2 of 6.
I don't think this guy can field a Super Bowl lineup unless I'm missing something.
No. He just took Darnold opposite Puka. So yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, he has Goff, Barkley.
No, sorry. Yeah. I was looking at the 5-hole here with Baker.
No, I am too. Or I just said Goff. I meant Gibbs.
Gibbs. Yeah. I don't know what.
And then he had one Rams. So sometimes with these, this is where you take Aguilar, Tylen, or Cam.
Cam is fun.
I think Cam, with how big of a bet we've made on the Vikings.
I'm with you. I think Cam's a good pick.
And we're still live for a Baltimore Bucky, Super Bowl. Like we'd roll out our 4 Ravens with Bucky opposite.
Totally.
What's the alternative? I like Cam too, but what was
another Ravens dust ball?
More Ravens. Yeah.
More Ravens.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the Akers thing makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't.
And you add another running back and a little 10 after
right.
Bucky.
Right.
So, and if Aaron Jones gets injured, you got the nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You're like same thing in best ball that we do in BBM. Hope that the starter, obviously doesn't get injured but misses some time. When he takes a hiatus.
You guys want to do one more of these before we build a FFPC team?
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna say
like smokes weed in like Africa. He does like what Ricky Williams.
Yeah, like the gas mask, bro. He just dropping down.
Just takes up the hobby and gets really into it.
All right, now we got the 3, which is I feel like 3 is a little bit more of a choose your own adventure pick.
Yeah, I've started just taking Hurts at 3. I have like my
Jordy Vegas was in the last draft as well.
Okay, where is he?
Yeah, he's in the chat. He's the 102.
Ravens.
Yeah. So and so is the 104. He was in our draft as well, and he was going all over the place. So if it's me, I'd probably take a quarterback here because I've been trying to take Gibbs on Monroe forever, and I just get sniped.
It's hard, man. It's fucking hard.
So I'm probably Jalen.
I like the Hurts stuff there too, and occasionally you can get AJ Brown to come back.
Yeah, sharp drafters will take Saquon, AJ, and then try to build out like Mahomes and hope he falls. But it'll probably end up we'll probably get AJ Brown. Looking at this, the end here. There's a no Badger. He'll probably do something crazy.
So you would try to advance that team without a QB in round 1?
No, you just have to stack up and hope Mahomes falls to 3-0-3.
But
then
no,
Chris,
he's saying you'd have to get another quarterback.
Would you do that?
Yeah. If Mahomes has a bye, so you have to get like Jaden. You can get Jaden in the 7th or 8th. You can take Baker in the 9th. Yeah,
Baker.
For any time I get a Goff from a Mahomes team, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I want the 50 team total, game total, which is Baker or Commanders. Jaden,
makes sense.
Just for the one-off. You don't even have to stack them. You're just like, oh,
yeah, you could do Nathan Jaden even.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
Those guys go like in the 8th round, 7th round,
7th round, 8th round, depending on how crazy people are. You
never have to be in a situation where you're like, I'm gonna take Bo Nix in the 10th round just to get a quarterback for round 1.
I've even seen.
You'll sometimes get boxed out because teams will do. People will do stupid shit. They'll take 3 QBs and you'll be like, "Fuck, Bo Nix, it is."
I've even seen Sam Darnold. I've even seen Sam Darnold in the 9th round, like a lot of times, because people are so scared of that last game. Like he'll fall, and you'll be like, "Oh, it's a high team total. Just take him just to advance Mahomes or Goff. Easy."
Yeah. And to Chris's point, someone took AJ Brown and Barkley. Henry goes. We're not doing a quarterback here, so we could play.
We probably have to take
Devontae. Just
probably
to lock
Smith,
him up.
Yeah. Slim Reaper. It's painful when that happens because you're like, man, I'm just so suboptimal. Because you're giving Baltimore guy Amon Ra, you're giving him probably J-Mo if this guy doesn't snipe him.
Yeah. There's Pete Overzet in their draft getting the sloppy Eagle seconds, and then there's real swaggy Pete over here cleaning up.
All right, so not optimal. Perfect.
So let's see. Sidekick likes a Chief here.
Yeah, Chief or Andrews. Then we just build out. It's which Super
You guys
Bowl
want to
we wanna
go
build.
Chiefs this time since we did Baltimore last time?
Yeah, sure.
You guys have a
sounds good.
preference on Kelsey or Worthy?
Kelsey for me. I think he's gonna show a little juice in the playoffs, but who knows? What do you think, Pat?
Good.
I tend to go Kelsey, but I'm open to either. The nice thing about this pairing, honestly, too much of my Eagles look like this because you can now get running backs on the Chiefs side, and like you also don't have to like sweat Pacheco because you could get like you can push Pacheco and get a really good deal on him because Hunt's there. It's like it just getting a Super Bowl running back who's not Kenny Gainwell is nice, you know.
This is what's frustrating when someone's building out the exact same two teams as you, and they're right behind you. So the Barkley Brown drafter goes Mahomes. And then
That's a
grabs
great
Worthy.
start. That's a great start.
Hey, Chris, my eyes, our team is up here, buddy. Please.
Got it,
It's one
got
thing
it.
to lust after another team in the chat. It's another thing when you're on stream with us.
So I would forgo the
Goddard.
sidekick here, and I would go Goddard. Yeah.
Well, Goddard's going to come back to us because no one's taking Eagles behind us. The Eagles drafters on the other side.
I would not do that, dude. Trust me. People just take Eagles for any reason. It's insane. It's so insane. I'm telling you, dude. Don't do it. I mean, you can risk it, but I would.
Don't.
Absolutely do not. I guess both the teams behind us have AFC QBs, right? So they might tell themselves, well, one-off piece of an Eagle makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like if they're using the sidekick, they'll be like, oh, let me get Pacheco because it's being recommended because it's their likelihood to meet in the conference championship. But if they're not, they're going to pick like an NFC opponent. So for me, it's like just take Goddard, hope for the best, and Pacheco usually falls. So
It looks like he. No, never mind.
So let's see. Yeah, Pacheco's still here. Who knows? I think this team behind us, now that
Yeah, you
Eagles
gotta
have
take-
dried up,
you got.
he's definitely going to take Pacheco.
The other move would be to take McConkey, play for Hunt, and then we get like a McConkey Dobbins thing.
Yeah,
Like,
we do need
the
skill
Chiefs-
position
the
players
Chiefs
to
play
advance.
The Chargers in the
The,
second round.
the
I'd be
Chargers
Pacheco.
would play the Chiefs in the
Okay.
second round.
True.
I'll go with Pacheco, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to need to think about a round one running back advance piece.
Justice Hill.
Probably-
Somebody who's not going to play
Probably
KC in the
Dobbins,
second round.
honestly.
Ty
Well, now
Johnson.
we're
Dobbins.
back to the Chargers versus Chiefs in round two.
The other move would be
Johnson
to try
or
to do Nico Mixon.
Oh, Nico Mixon. That's a good point.
Nico
Again, we're
Mixon
back
is
to- also plays the Chiefs in the second round.
I know, but it's it's just to get us through because we have like Kelsey, Pacheco, and more Chiefs coming online in round two. So
We
you
could
can get a
also
little looser
do-
with that when you have that.
We
many
could do
buys.
McLaurin and a Commanders running back.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a great point. And no one's going to take B-Rob, so you can get him way late.
You
It's
can
not a
get
really
him,
good.
yeah.
It's not a really good advanced piece, but I mean, at this point, it's up to you guys. Really, like for me,
Definitely.
I would actually
No scenario where they can play Philly in the second round, right? Because Philly's a
Right.
2 seed. They're the 6 seed.
correct. No,
Makes
you guys
sense.
are making good points. For me, I'm sometimes just like, hey, I'll just lose one slot. That's how
I was thinking like a late Ty Johnson could still advance you. Does that seem crazy?
It's gonna be
It's
tough
less likely.
because that's more likely when you're drafting early because there's gonna be like dead teams who drafted like Seahawks and stuff like that. Here, like people are drafting really good pieces from teams that are definitely in the playoffs. So it's the scores you're gonna need are high.
Ty Johnson could score a lot of points.
one little juke, right? That's all he needs.
He's been. I mean, they
He's
literally
he's
said
the
this
ceiling.
year they think he's the best third down back in the NFL. Like he's the reason James Cook doesn't play as much as he should when he's leading the league in rushing TDs. It's kind of wild.
I really like the Commander angle because we get another really
yeah,
nice
the
let's
Commander
go.
angle is good.
with
into it.
McLaurin. We don't have to worry about Daniels, and then we're gonna have two cracks at either B-Rob or Eckler, who don't even project that much differently.
That's right.
And honestly, I really like Eckler over B-Rob. Just like if they're in a negative game script, just dumping it off to him be kind of fun.
Well, in this reality, they're in a positive game script.
Okay, the B-Rob it is.
And I don't know if you noticed, but this is only half-point PPR, so those aren't that valuable.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so we got our two. Are we going to play just one AFC team on this and not mess around with Ravens or Bills?
We could honestly.
I would. I think we could also take Hunt, even though we have Pacheco.
I still think Ty Johnson's a good pick.
We could do that.
Well,
we could go Kincaid and
Kincaid
play for Ty Johnson. Yeah, go Kincaid then.
No, wait. Don't you want to take Robinson? Sorry, I meant late. Oh,
we should take if we're gonna take Ty, we should take Kincaid right now, and then we'll get Robinson and Ty. Yeah,
we'll get Robinson.
I like that because then we'll have two conference championship games and decent, and then we'll have two. And I like the idea of getting two running backs with Pacheco, especially if we're going late. Having two is nice.
Yeah.
They like Terrence in the chat said Buffalo probably condense their running backs for the playoffs. You play those guys in the playoffs. I think that's true in a lot of scenarios. I'm telling you, Buffalo thinks Ty Johnson is a weapon. They don't think he's just like a guy that spells James Cook. They actively care about getting the ball to Ty Johnson.
He's really fast, and he can catch.
Dude, he plays so much for his third down role. He's awesome. I really like him. I have him a lot in my early teams. Like when I miss out on James Cook.
Period.
Yeah.
He's when you were talking, Pete, about like, you get Justice Hill, Kenny Gainwell. He's that for me with Allen. When I have Allen, I'm taking Ty Johnson at a really high rate.
Sorry, shouldn't we do so? This next pick we're talking is Gainwell, right?
Well, we only have room for we probably want to take three running backs. So we're deciding between Ty, Gainwell, and Robinson.
True.
Yeah, I think we're just building this out like, hey, it's either going to be Isaiah or Ty in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think we can skip.
Why are you shortchanging our
the other move would be to take. We could take Mixon.
Well, our Commanders are going to play in the conference championship, not in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I think.
I don't know any of the dynamics.
I think we take
generally.
I think we take Ty, and then you can pick between KG or B-Rob.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, normally I feel like you generally like having the running back tied to your Super Bowl team, which
that seems right to me, Pete.
But
is it different? Because the thing is, Gainwell's like, if Saquon's healthy, Gainwell's like liable to just not score the whole time, and I know that's not.
I think we should be more worried about advance rate here because we have enough pieces for a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl now. So we have a running back for 2 Super Bowls.
That's true.
Yep.
So we think swing back over to
I think we go B-Rob and try to get through.
Let's take B-Rob.
Yeah. I think that's the play. Live for
those guys just project a lot better, like volume roll wise.
Yeah.
Yep. So now our starting lineup in wild card, we have Hurts at quarterback, 2 running back cracks with Ty and Brian Robinson to fill that spot, and then Devontae, Goddard, McLaurin, Kincaid to fill 3 spots.
That's nice. You need Washington to advance, but Robinson and McLaurin could be key. If they have a really big game in that high total game, they could be really key there.
Yeah, if they play 2 games, you're like almost like in the top 2, top 3 of the next round to like get yourself to that 1 of 10, which is good.
Yep.
And then if Buffalo makes a run and they beat Baltimore and they get all the way to the AFC Championship against KC, hopefully you get some help from Ty and Kincaid. I mean, it's an easy bracket to tell a story on.
It is.
Pat, what would you do here, man? Would you take Matt Collins, which he just went, never mind, or would you take Jahan Dotson here to just stack up our Eagles?
Oh, I muted. I was going to say Matt Collins or Noah Gray, but I think Jahan is fine as well.
Too deep. Okay, too thin. Okay.
I don't think Jahan's too thin. I've taken him. I just tend to prefer. I would have preferred Matt Collins. Dawson Knox would be another way to play it.
What does it? I was gonna say, yeah. I think it should be a Bill or a Chief.
It should probably be a Bill or a Chief.
Yeah, so Gray or Knox? What do you guys want?
Any ball knowers, Gretch, Drico?
Those are both good. They're like the same play. They're both good plays. We already have Kelsey. You kind of want him to score the TDs.
We already have Kincaid too.
Oh, oh shit!
Call it, Pete.
Knox helps you get through the first round.
Okay.
I like Knox.
Nimble fingers there. Wow, cutting it close.
Nice. Wow.
Actually,
close.
I can double click the sidekick, right? And it adds it to you. I forgot about that. Yeah. All right, there's this team. So we did Jalen Hurts, Pacheco, Ty Johnson, Brian Robinson. They're at running back, and then Devontae Smith, Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, Terry McLaurin, Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox. There. Fun team. Pushed us in some interesting directions there.
It did. It's fun now. Yeah.
Very clean team. We did 4 teams. We didn't kind of break the rules. Sometimes when I'm doing bye week stuff, I'll take a mix in. I'll take someone who can't play in the conference championship game most likely, but I like that we didn't do that and stayed.
Yeah.
No, that's really good, Gretch, because me, I'll panic. I'll panic sometimes like, fuck it, Dobbins. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Especially when you have your kids yelling at you in the ear. You know what I mean? Hey.
Dude, I had it crash on me today, and I was like, opening the app, and I was like, I got the app up with like 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, like clicking auto Darnold on an Eagles team. That was awesome.
Dude, I'm in the snow making a snowman with my daughter, and because like it's 20-something degrees here, and like we've never seen snow before, really. And literally, I'm like getting pinged, and what's his name? The Achievers. He's like, "Hey, dude, you missed your first 2 picks." I'm like, oh.
I was multitasking doing my 3 summit drafts, the 3 max, and I had a devastating auto pick in all 3 of them. It's like I didn't draft one clean team.
Good thing it's not 5 max, you know.
Yeah. Just for my own OCD, I'd have to purposefully tank a pick just for the symmetry across all 5.
So with OSU playing in Texas tomorrow, they were saying on the radio, "Oh, in Texas they got 1 inch of snow. Better be very careful about that. Those guys don't know how to handle snow. If you're driving to the game, like leave yourself extra time."
Oh, dude, I won't go out, dude. I will not go out.
She's like, yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm literally like, so here's the thing. It's not really the people driving. It's the roads. The roads are terrible.
You don't have plows.
Yeah, you don't have anything. It's all ice. And like, I've seen cars just skate, just going. And you're like, yeah, I don't think it was worth going out to breakfast today. Oh, well. Miss that up.
If the weather ever got wonky enough for it to snow in San Diego here, I would find a bunker, like a tornado warning was coming. Like I would get to safety.
We in Ireland a couple of years ago, we had 1 inch of snow, or it was like 2 inches of snow, and like there was a whole name for it. Like the whole country shut down for like 4 days. We called it the Beast from the East. Because there are literally there's no snowplows in the country of Ireland, and so like we're just like, okay, there's snow and ice here. We don't know what to do.
Dude, literally everything here is like, hey, don't go to school, don't go to work, just stay home and draft teams, pretty much.
that was actually the recommendation from the state. Just stay home.
Yeah. They said, hey, just smoke her down. Hey, promo code Pete. Just get it in there. Pete.
Wow, dude. Man, I fucking love Texas, man. The marketing there has really been working. All right. I pulled up a draft here, or not a draft, a lineup for us in the FFPC challenge. Drico, you're our guest of honor, and you've already revealed that you like to do too much Galaxy branding, so I'm excited.
Okay. Oh, well, now I have the Galaxy brand.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
What I like to think is I want our guests to Galaxy Brain do their, conviction plays, and then we'll smooth it out with some nice chalk.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Zach Ertz.
Okay. All right.
All
Coming
right.
in hot here.
Let's go.
I like it. Let's see. I feel like maybe I'm going to be the one that actually spices it up because we've been talking a lot today about Jalen Hurts, where he could come in. Let's build a Jalen Hurts team.
Nice, dude. I was going to get Jalen Hurts.
I was
too.
going to pick that too.
Yeah, we're mind meld then. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Gretch is OTC.
I'm pretty mad because I didn't take Bucky on the last show and we didn't get Bucky in the team. And then all I was trying to accomplish tonight was to get Bucky on the team. But Ertz starts again. Maybe we fade Tampa. Maybe we play Evans because like they're
Isn't Ertz kind of a fade pick on Washington?
Is he?
It's a one and done.
All right, Bucky.
One and done.
That's right. That's all it took was to talk to you.
I just needed to know it wasn't a completely idiotic pick. In fact,
No, it's a great pick.
How
As soon as he picked Ertz, I was like, Gretch is gonna smash Bucky here.
We're taking Bucky.
Pat, how much do we think? Because this is like a real phenomenon in home league drafts, Yahoo ADP, CBS Applet ADP of like the guys that are buried. I mean, look at how far down Bucky is in this points per game sorting. He's like, I had to scroll down to get to him.
I'm like, Rashad White is only
right next to Rashad White. People are like, wait,
exactly,
they're like the same guy.
Exactly.
I was just honestly probably worth a percent for Rashad.
I'm telling you, you might have to add a default applet, booster or negative penalty to the ownership.
Dude, that's
projections.
definitely a percent for Rashad. People will be like, "Huh, I'll just pivot over to Rashad." Look at that right next to each other.
Hey, I'll also play Austin Seibert. Oh, damn, they
That's
put the IR. All right, Pat's on the board.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Dalton Kincaid.
Wow. Speak on that.
we really want the Bills to lose as soon as possible, and so that Allen doesn't make our Hurts pick look bad. So it's a fade pick. Now I could have taken Cook. That would have been more prudent, which is why I started laughing. But yeah, Dalton Kincaid. It's tight end premium here, guys. People forget.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have Liam on the show without having Liam on the show. All right, Chris, it's back to you.
I'm going to make a sane pick here, and I'm going to take Amon-Ra.
Okay, there we go.
I feel like part of the argument for Ertz and Kincaid is that they might be the tight end because of the constraint of tight end. But no, we're just hammering the flex early.
Yeah, we're just getting on the flex, baby.
They're just going to score a lot of points.
Honestly, part of me wanted to feel how gross that felt, and then the reaction to it was to dial in Dalton Kincaid's ownership, and I'm lowering him as we speak.
That is fucking tri-ballooning picks right now for his own ulterior motives.
It's for the people, man.
I need to go wash my hands. That was disgusting.
Yeah. I'm lowering him.
Okay. Drico, back around to you.
Okay. So we're predicting heavily that Buffalo loses.
I know.
So that preloads Courtland Sutton into our lineup.
I think so. I like it. That was gonna be my pick if you didn't do it.
That's a good pick.
Okay.
So I was thinking Troy Franklin just to keep up with the theme.
Our Mims, right? I
if we're flushing money down the toilet, let's get the plunger in there.
So if we're playing the Ravens, the Bills lose as quick as possible, even if they somehow sneak by, I think we need the Ravens cruising here. We can't play Lamar. I think we got to play Derrick Henry here.
For sure.
Back to you, Gretch.
We need some chalk. I'm taking Puka Nacua. This team needs the good plays right now. Oh, I guess that picks a winner in that game. Oh well, Puka Nacua. We're gonna fade. Here's what I'll say. I actually think I think Puka's really likely to be the right play in a loss. So I actually think it's easier to fade Jefferson and do what I was saying earlier with Darnold sucking. So anyway, I think it does because we've already played both sides of Denver, Buffalo, and both sides of Washington, Tampa.
We need to pick a winner in Texans, Chargers.
Gotta pick a winner and all the rest. Yeah.
And we need a chief.
Right.
Okay.
Puka makes the most sense. I like that. I feel strongly that if you have to pick a winner in that game, you want to pick it through Puka and fade Jefferson's side, which is weird, but
I'll go Xavier Worthy.
Woo! Man, stole my thunder there. Stole my thunder.
that's a clean pick.
So flex, kicker, defense. We haven't done anything with Steelers, Chargers,
Texans,
and
Vikings, Packers.
All right. I'm going to let our illustrious Drico take the last flex. Throw up the defense for me, please.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we were talking about Houston and LAC. What do you guys think would be the best pick here? I'm kind of leaning. Let me see. Kind of leaning Chargers because like they got a good defense. Maybe Houston wins. I kind of like
That's
that
the last
too.
flex. It does limit Drico's flex options if you take the Chargers or the
Yeah.
Texans.
Who do you like, Turco? The Texans or the Chargers?
I honestly think that if we're picking a defense in that game, we should pick the Texans defense.
Let's do it.
Because
I'm
Because
sold.
they were in
I
the
think the
optimal
Chargers defense will be
two-game
popular, and I don't think the Texans defense will be.
Good with that.
You don't think they'll be? I think I have them as a chalk.
The Texans defense?
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason I don't think so is because like you have the Harbaugh like run game stuff, and like quarterback is playing well. I know they're a popular fade, but
I just think people
What?
want to fade the Texans.
You know what?
Right.
Remove this Houston team defense for me, please. There's too much uncertainty here. Yeah, move it out, please. Yeah, get it out. Let's take it out, and I'm going to just switch to kicker, and I'm going to
Do
take
a
the best kicker. I'm going to take the
Yeah.
best kicker of all time, Chris Boswell.
Because you saw this comment, Terrence said, "I'm smashing Boswell. Pitt scores 4 figures in a
Dude, the
defense
guy-
battle."
Yeah, the guy's
Fuck you.
crushing it, dude. Just going with the chat.
I like it.
Man of the people. That's it.
All right, now
I was
Drico's
hoping
back
for
to
Reichert in that dome game. He's going to make a couple 50-yarders in this loss. That was
in the
my
neutral
head.
site dome game.
Yeah.
All right, so we
So
still
Drico.
need Chargers or Texans.
Chargers or Texans, yeah.
You want Mixon, Dobbins, McConkey, Nico.
fuck, just do Nico.
Woo!
Team can do some Nico.
So can I throw one quick thought out since you were kind of indecisive? We are playing Hurts and we're playing
Not indecisive
Buffalo
enough for you to
Bills.
get your time in time.
All right, play him.
Oh,
Play
oh.
Nico. Play Nico.
So we're just gonna completely fade JJ.
All right, then.
Is that it? Pretty much, right?
Well, I was gonna say, who do you think can actually beat the Ravens? And for me, it's the Chargers because you're playing Henry and you're playing Kincaid, and you're kind of saying Buffalo. We just said we were thinking Buffalo might lose in round 1. We kind of don't want Lamar to play 3 games either. I mean, Henry can get there, but it'd be kind of my tiebreak would be towards the team that I think is more likely to actually beat the Ravens. Maybe that's the Texans. Who knows? Let's play Nico.
Yeah, because it's also like we're playing Hurts too, so we're already kind of saying he's going to be outscoring Lamar, even if
Yeah.
they both make
It
it.
hurts to the championship. Yeah, right.
And we're saying the combo of Hurts and Henry outscores the combo of Lamar and
Right.
Saquon.
Yeah, and because I picked Worthy instead of Kelsey, I think we actually want the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl and have Henry go nuts, which is like totally live.
Because you
Like,
picked who?
Worthy instead of Kelsey. We got off the Kelsey chalk. Not that Worthy can't outscore Kelsey, but
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
keep looking
Yeah.
at that
A little harder.
Dalton Kincaid pick every time. I keep looking at it and just like raising an eye.
Well, Pat did too. It was just a twisted experiment, social experiment, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I had him at 6%, way too high. It was way too high. Now I know.
All right. So then that leaves our defense. Who are we going to do with our defense? I feel like fading Minnesota is the most unique, but at this point, I don't know how unique we need to be.
Drico, are you
Minnesota's got a good D though, so I actually think that's kind of a fun pick.
Drico, are you a Notre Dame fan?
Kind of. My
Chat
wife
seems to think that you are. Chat's like Drico.
I think Irish. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
Shorty Vegas pick suggests that we could pivot Kincaid to Jefferson and just do a Bills fade.
I'd be down for that.
I'd be fine doing. I'm fine switching my
with all the off the board picks that we have. That seems like a good way to bring it back into.
Yeah.
So what do
Bills fade?
And then
you could do Bills D if you wanted.
Yeah, Bills D.
Bills D is probably the move.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. There you go. Drico, is it true that you're just off screen? You're eating a bowl of Lucky Charms right now?
I'm actually doing an Irish dance under the table as well.
Little river dance action there.
Yeah. Goodness. All right. That was fun. Chris, any other, parting shots, words of wisdom for people in the playoff best ball streets? You still got your gauntlet trophy over there flexing over your shoulder?
Yes, I do. Hey, listen, just have fun. Don't get don't get too upset when your picks get sniped, and just go for volume, man. That's it. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course,
oh man, it's always a blast talking to you. Drico, what about you? You got a pint of Guinness to shut down after this, or what?
Yeah, everyone should drink more whiskey and more Guinness. That's
any
my
specific types of whiskey that you
She's big Tennessee whiskey.
Get your red breast in.
Big Tennessee.
Oh man. Pat, I know we mentioned earlier this week, we do got the ownership projections. If you guys are leg up subs, if you're in the Ship Chasing Discord, and those have been updated throughout the day. And that sheet has the most up to date for people, Pat?
Yeah, so I'm tinkering a lot, and just feeds to the sheet that's public. So yeah, it's been updated a bunch. I'll be updating it tomorrow. I won't be updating it Saturday. Once kind of we get to, I'm going to go live life on Saturday morning is basically what it is. But I'll be updating them through tomorrow as we build and get our teams finalized on Friday.
It looks like you've got helpful timestamps in there as well.
Yeah, but we always wind up doing all of our shit Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to be really busy Saturday morning. I don't know.
All right, well, I won't be living a good life, but I'll be living a life that's not updated.
I'll be living a life not worth living.
Every year we thought we would get them done Friday night, and it has not happened.
Yeah, I was imagining myself outside, but you're right. I'll probably be clicking people into lineups.
No, I'll just tell you. I'll be like, Pat, don't look outside. There's a huge blizzard. You told me you just wanted to find some bunker when there was snow in San Diego. Just slave away on those ownership protections.
Look outside, but it's snowing.
Gretch, you said if people weren't satiated with enough Galaxy Brain, they can listen to you and Sean talk about the contest.
Me and Sean, I spent a lot of time in that doing kind of primer stuff. It might be a little below some of these folks, although we had some good stuff. I would say check out Sean's write-up at Rotoviz. It was really good. I think I scared off our guy Cullen, but I had to give him some crap about winning because our other guy here, Chris Gee, last time I saw him, we played Cullen. I think he wanted to play us like 5 times in beer pong. Is that right, G? And did we ever lose? I don't think we ever lost. Me and G are the champions.
I was so intoxicated that night. I had to Irish goodbye like Pete. I had to just.
I remember you said goodbye like Drico,
me and then peace out. So.
I will say I love an Irish goodbye, and there is a good reason that it's called after Irish people.
Okay, so Nick's saying that him and Steph beat us.
That when you say goodbye, people draw you into this conversation, and you're like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just gonna leave.
Dude, I remember walking out with Pete, and I was like, man, this is pretty good. Like, I just left. It was amazing.
Oh, the Irish goodbye. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah.
You
Nick
got
and
it.
Steph are claiming they won, and they're saying that people forget. We certainly forgot because we ran the table for like 2 hours, and we're not sober at that point. So congratulations on winning a game that we were not even functional enough to stand up and win.
Well, it's nice that Colin got invited on the FFPC pod to talk best ball, because it sounds like he's not getting invited on any beer pong pods to talk about winning the championship. Our finale is tomorrow. We're going to start a little later. Dink and Leone will be joining us. Annual tradition, a little later start, so Dink can wrap up his NBA responsibilities. And yeah, we'll get some final thoughts. Maybe have a couple of cocktails, have some fun, build a couple teams. If you guys got questions, feel free to bring those. And yeah, we'll cap that off. I'm going to do a big DFS wildcard preview show with the Badge Bros tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in hopping in the BR streets, you can check that out tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, it's a glorious week. May all of your lineups smash. We'll see you guys tomorrow night on Ship Chasing.
Go Irish.